Ladies and gentlemen, here we are at Luestra Combat Academy with Annie Thatcher, who is taking on Baby Nansen at XFC71, February 24th. How do you feel about the upcoming fight? She's a very, very accomplished fighter.
Obviously nervous. She's had the most pro experience of an opponent I've had before, but I've versed a lot of accomplished fighters and versed them under their rule set. So I'm more excited to just have the freedom to do everything I can do. And yeah.
Now, another catchweight fight. I mean, as a women in mixed martial arts these days, is it just difficult, or is it actually easier? Because then you go, oh, we can just meet at a nice weight.
I wish more people would agree to do catchweights just for the sake of this problem, because flyweight's pretty booming for girls, and I'm just too tall to make flyweight. Even though I have like the same kind of body structure and composition, I'm just lanky. So I wish I've asked for a lot of catchweights. Just to try and get matches, and not really had as much luck, even though we don't have much choice. So pretty grateful, really.
Because you've never had problems with fighters and weight before, have you?
No, not that I can recall, but maybe I've suppressed my memory because of trauma.
Do you think almost like women's MMA in Australia probably shouldn't have weight divisions, just catchweight bouts?
Oh, not just catchweight bouts, but I think everyone should be more open, particularly in amateur, be more open to just decide on a weight just for the sake of having the experience.
Are you giving up much weight, or do you know if she is, or is that at least communicated to you at all?
I'm pretty sure she's gone down in weight because of the boxing Olympic trials. She went down into a weight class, so I think maybe she's just walking around lower and happy at that weight, which I can respect. And my weight sits a lot lower in Perth because it's hot here. It's like I don't even have an appetite, it's so hot. So I thought hopefully so far so good, 60 shouldn't be an issue.
Well, then is that the thing? Are you cutting weight for this fight?
I am, but not a significant amount. So all of my amateur boxing fights have been late last year, were under 63. For my pro boxing fight last year was under 62, coming 61. So it's it's not going to be much of a cut at all, really.
Now you're a full-time worker. Working 9 to 5. What is this? Is this a career option? Is this just take fights when you can get them? Like, where are you at in your mixed martial arts career?
So originally, before lockdown, my plan was to just work flat out and do nothing but save and then commit to it full time. But then when lockdown happened and everything got put on hold, I just couldn't stop working. And then that's when I realized how volatile life is. So I thought I'll just keep working until one day, maybe if I get the opportunity to make enough money to train full time and fight full time. But with with someone like Quillin, even though he's a monster, a mustache maniac, he always seems to have a fight around the corner because he's just that size and build that there's lots of people in his division, and he can kind of commit to that. Whereas for me, when I'm months and sometimes years apart from fights, it's just too hard to give up work and my well-being for it.
Well, speaking of Quillin, are you still marrying him against his will in the future?
Yes, 1,000%. I'm doing my best. I'm in here every day and I'm like, hey, Quillin, and he just kind of... But actually, I've got a bit of a black eye, which is from him, so I think that's a good sign.
From training?
Yeah, from training. I think, definitely from training. So,
what was it like seeing him obviously put his skills on display like that at Eternal, obviously defending his belt, and he really is kind of the next big thing to come out of Australia?
It's funny because Quillin and I met when we were both fighting on Park to Hex in Melbourne.
This is turning into a date story.
I'll talk about Quillin, it's fine. No, Quillin and I met when we were both first starting amateur, and it's been a really cool journey that he would fly over from Perth and I was living in Melbourne, and we'd be on the same shows, and it'd just be so good to catch up with him and Ramal, and then for both of us to just keep progressing through the ranks and through pro fights and stuff. So it's been a great journey to share with someone. And then now, the fact that he's just gotten so good, I don't even get nervous watching him fight anymore. I'm like, he'll be fine, because that guy's just a different level. And it's been a really cool friendship we've had.
So we see, obviously, Australian MMA booming. Women's Australian MMA kind of feels worse than ever in terms of direction and divisions and whatnot. Where do you, I mean, the talent there, but it just feels like everyone has to go international to find fights. And what is your sort of thoughts on the state of Australian MMA in the women's division?
I do think it's just a repercussion of lockdown, is the fact that there was 2 years where there was pretty much no competitions, no training, and there was just no new talent coming up. So in those 2 years, there might have been girls who started training, had a few fights, and then been getting to the point thinking about turning pro and whatnot. But then that was all put on hold. So it's all kind of, all the girls fighting now were the girls fighting before lockdown, and it's very rare I see anyone who's new popping up at this point. So yeah, it's a bit slow and stale, which is sad.
Now, I've knocked the Australian MMA division for the women, but now this is a prop for it. In America, it feels like at times it's like overly sexualized for stars. In Australia, it doesn't really feel like that, does it?
No. America's good. It's just a different culture, you know. Like, even when I was in America, people said, come fight an American, you'll do really well because, you know, you're pretty. And I'd be like, what's that got to do with anything? What? So, like, I think it's just a different kind of culture, and it's how people promote themselves. So I feel like there isn't any girls in Australian MMA who promote that to make themselves seem better. Like, they all just 100% rely on their skill and ability. And
well, I feel like, I mean, you've got your Lisa Kiriakis, Amina Hedaya, Courtney Martin. They're all just like monsters, right? Yourself. Yeah. So it feels like we are all just constantly promoting that talent.
Yeah, and they're just legit girls. Like, Lisa is just such a good time and like a genuine person to talk to. Courtney's one of my best friends in the whole world. I haven't met Amina, but yeah, it's just hard work, and they just let it speak for themselves, and it's just, yeah, so much respect. They don't need to like hype themselves up with any sexuality. It's like just be yourself.
Yeah, I feel like even Casey O'Neill and Jamie Eden's of the world.
I don't know, like, do I have beef with Casey O'Neill?
Well, Casey, I had to find a way to get Jamie in there. You guys had your fight that didn't eventually end up happening, and will we ever see that fight again in the future? You versus Jamie Eden?
Probably not. I would say probably not. I just couldn't even think about putting the time into it again. That was just such a shitstorm, to be honest.
Is there anything to learn? Because, I mean, people can go back and they can watch the interview I did with her. It explains a little bit better about the weight debacle that was your fight that eventually got cancelled. Is there anything you kind of took from that situation heading in, like about weight management, about negotiating fights, about planning future fights?
I think from my perspective and why I reacted the way I did was more so for everybody else who's planning weight management and stuff. So it's like, people will miss weight sometimes. It can be an unfortunate, especially for girls and hormones and things like that. It can happen, but I think communication's important. We have managers for a reason. We negotiate contracts for a reason. If you're 1 week out or 2 weeks out and you're like, there is no way I'm going to do this, just renegotiate. And just like, especially for the sake of the promoter, I felt really bad for Damien having to deal with the drama that wasn't his fault. And, you know, and like Jacob from Hex and stuff, on the day of the fight, they're just putting up with so much shit.
Yeah, Jacob recently with Michael Chapeau, who I think was 7 kilos over at the weigh-in.
Yeah. And it's like, and people need to have like a bit more respect for promoters, because if it weren't for promoters, we wouldn't have a show to fight on. And so just to save them that time and trouble, you know, we just need to be honest. Look, I've agreed to this weight. It's a week out. I'm not going to make that weight. Do you think they'll renegotiate, or can we like talk? Because it's just too frustrating.
Well, I mean, going back to your fight against Baby Nansen, what can we expect come February 24th?
See, I don't know. I just, my love for fighting kind of comes from training just flat out and then just seeing what my body does in the heat of the moment. So it's like I always love like surprising myself with like all this muscle memory I didn't know I had.
Sorry, are you the equivalent of I just see red?
No, I do. I think very clearly, but it's just always fascinating to me what comes to my mind in the heat of the moment and how clearly I'm thinking. Because every like...
How much does your coach hate that?
No. I can hear, because the thing is, the more fights I have, the more I can hear my coach, and the more I think through my process, the more I like pick up all those details. And so it's like fascinating to me to be like, oh, you know, this is what's coming to me now. So I think we can expect just me trying to, especially because, you know, it's been so long since I've had a pro MMA fight, just letting everything go, throw everything at it in the kitchen sink, just, you know, this is everything I can do and you're not safe anywhere.
Well, before I let you go, you're obviously going to be doing your weight cut out here because it's friggin' hot.
And I've made weight.
But February 24th, just in terms of the show, in terms of your opponent, in terms of the lead up, like what is something that you want the public, your friends and family to know as you head into fight week?
I'm just happy. I'm so happy. You know, I love Perth. I love training here. I'll have my Melbourne coach and Ramel at that fight. So it's just going to be like this wonderful merging of worlds. And then, and I'm just so excited that, as far as I know, there's 3 female fights on that card. So Cass, who's from Sydney, she's a wonderful girl that I really love training with when I'm there. And Jill. And it's just like... See, there are female fights to have on shows. We just got to put them on there. So I'm excited. Yeah,
I feel like XFC Australia is doing a really good job of that as well. And final message, if Quillin Southkild is watching this.
Marry me.
February 24th, XFC71. You can see Annie Thatcher. Get your tickets from Eventbrite or XFC Australia on Instagram. Thank you.
Yay, thank you.
I love that.
Quillin's going to pick up crazy. No, you already know.